Welcome to my review of Burai Fighter for the NES. This is one of the better shooters on the NES that I don't really see get mentioned too much, so I thought I would cover it here. Now here you're going to see my playthrough on the Eagle mode, which is the easy mode basically, but it's actually quite a hard game even on this mode. But it is the easiest mode available. So that's what I started on. But way harder than the Game Boy version of the game on its hardest setting, which I think is Ultimate Mode, which is a complete joke. It's a very easy game, the Game Boy version, even on the hardest mode. But this game on the easiest mode is actually quite difficult. I believe it took me somewhere in the 5-hour, 4.5-hour range to beat. Quite a difficult game. You know, not extreme, but it has some very hard parts. And I will post a link to my tutorial of the game as well in the description. So the way it works is you have power-ups for your different types of shots, which you're going to want to get certain types of weapons for certain specific, scenarios, obviously. The game does have passwords, so you can at least, and unlimited continues, so you can at least start at the last stage you got to if you lose all your lives. I believe if you lose a life, you may respawn right where you died, but you only have a few lives. You may be able to earn some 1-ups, I believe, where it says extra on the bottom left. I think if you fill that up, you may earn 1-ups, but I'm a little hazy on that. I beat this a few years ago, so it's not all fresh in my mind. And the reason I call these quick reviews is because I kind of just cut up my footage and editing of my actual playthrough, and then I just comment over it. So a lot of it is just based on how I remember, the last time I played. Sometimes I do a little extra research, but a lot of these I bang out kind of quick. So there will be some details that are not crystal clear. So one cool thing about this game is that you can change your firing directions and you can fix in a specific direction. So by pressing either B or A, I believe you will hold your position, and you can kind of just fix your position either to the left or right. I believe you can also fire up and down if I remember right. Yeah, and diagonal, yeah. So you pretty much have all 8 firing directions, I believe. So it's a little bit like Forgotten Worlds in that sense, except it's a lot better control because you can fix your position, you can lock into your positions, and that makes a huge difference. But yeah, this is a very cool game. It's a lot of fun. The boss fights are well done. Here you got a snake that you have to kind of try to avoid and shoot the segments out. I believe it's those blue segments you have to take out. But the boss fights are fun. The game is just a very good, solid game. And as you destroy the segments, of course, more of the caterpillars break apart, and you have to fight them all at the same time, as you saw. I edited that out, but because I'm showing little pieces of the game basically in these reviews. So now you also have these type of stages. There's at least, I would say, 2 or 3 of these type of overhead stages in the game, which are not the best parts of the game. They're a little bit irritating because you have to wander around for a while sometimes to find the main thing that you have to destroy. It can take a while to find. But in the meantime, you can kill enemies and try to get the weapon power-ups that you want. I believe if you collect multiple of the same type of weapon, you will power it up. I believe that's how it works, if I remember right. You have your laser, ring, and missile weapons. As shown in the bottom right, you see them listed with the text. And I believe the number next to them shows how powered up they are, if I remember right. But these stages are kind of a pain in the ass because you can get blindsided by enemies just popping out of the screen kind of and killing you. So it is irritating. It is a one-hit death type of game. So these stages were kind of a weak point of the game, and definitely not the best part. So after wandering around for a while, it seems that the boss of this stage, or these type of stages, will appear kind of just at random. It will just eventually decide to fucking appear. And at that point, then you have to destroy all the turrets on the... It's like a big machine, and you have to destroy all the turrets to kill it. As you get farther into the game, the later stages like this will have more turrets to destroy. That's the main difference. So on the last one, you may have to destroy 16 turrets or some shit. So they just get progressively more irritating in that sense, and it's really not a good type of stage. But they're not bad. They're just a weak point in the game. It doesn't ruin the game or anything. They're not super frustrating or super difficult. They're just kind of irritating and not very fun. So as you can see here, you have to destroy all these little, not really turrets. I guess they're balls that shoot out little bullets, though. So basically turrets. But once you destroy them all, the machine will explode, and you'll go on to the next area. And you do get passwords, as I said. So yeah, the levels do vary in the way that they scroll. You know, sometimes you're scrolling downward, sometimes you're scrolling to the left. I mean, yeah, obviously not a ton of variety because of the type of game it is. You know, it's just, you know, shooters, only so much they can do with these kind of games. But you know, you have ceilings falling down here that you have to try to dodge. So there's variety within the gameplay, different things and obstacles you have to manage, enemy patterns and enemy arrangements. But it's all very well done, you know, and it's a cool mechanic to be able to fix your firing direction in any direction. It wasn't a common thing that you really saw back then, so it was cool. It was well done. And it controls very well. You know, you're not going to die because of the control, so it's good with that. The boss fights, like I said, are cool. This is one of the boss fights. And if you know what you're doing, you can take out a lot of the bosses very fast. The final boss is still quite difficult. It took me a good amount of practice because the final area is also difficult. And I believe you want to get there without dying at a certain point because I think you want to keep certain weapons, if I remember right. I think if you die, you may lose certain power-ups. If you were firing, if you had that weapon selected at the time when you died, you may lose power-ups on it. I think that may be how it works. I can't remember if you can. I'm thinking that the way you switch weapons in this game is simply you have to pick up the power-up and just, switch over to that weapon permanently until you find the next power-up of that weapon. But I think it saves your power-up levels on each weapon, even if you get another weapon. I don't think you can, press select or anything and swap out weapons on the fly, which would be cool. That would actually be better, but I don't think you can do that. There's also these little red things you collect, and I think these red gems add up to where it says extra, and eventually you can get a 1-up off of that. I think that's what that's for. But I could be completely off on that since it's been a while. But those are more of the smaller little details and nuances, not so much important to the core gameplay and how much I enjoyed the game. So, that's not going to be extremely important for the review. But the tutorial will cover all that, so check my tutorial out if you want all the details, all the smaller details and tactics and all that. Most of the reviews so far that I've made, maybe all of them, have had tutorials to back them up. Since this is all from my playthroughs, and I make a decent amount of tutorials out of my playthroughs. Though, of course, most of them I don't, because there's over 800, maybe 1,000 playthroughs on this channel now since, I believe, 2016 when I got capture capabilities. There was, a little bit over 1,000 prior to that before I had any capture capabilities. I've been playing games for a long time, so there's at least 1,000 on the channel, I believe now. But of that, maybe 120, 125 tutorials. So, only a small percentage of them get made into tutorials. But I am going to be reviewing some other games that don't have tutorials with them, where I just have, gameplay footage of my playthrough, and I'll just chop it up for the reviews. But so far, I've been doing my reviews on games I have tutorials on because I think it's a nice little, accompaniment to the review. I think it's a nice little extra video, little extra content. So I've been trying to do some of those first, the ones that I already made tutorials on. So this is the final stage, and this part's tough. You can see this gets dense near the end. And the final boss is tough. I believe my strategy was to bring a specific type of weapon to the boss, if I remember right. But again, it's been a while, so that's all going to be covered in the tutorial. But not a hell of a lot of extra to say about the game, aside from what I've already covered. I remember the music being pretty decent, but I don't remember it being anything that stood out that was super memorable or anything, but it was serviceable. I thought it was decent enough for what it was, from what I remember. So here you can see this is tough with all these flies trying to swarm you. So they do try to really take you out before the final boss. It does get aggressive before in the final areas. That was the main challenge I believe I had, was I died a lot on the final boss and had to practice that to learn it. In the final area, it's overall, it was a tough part. So you'll see the final boss now. It doesn't look that tricky, but you really don't have a lot of room to dodge if you mess up. You get cornered very easily and killed. So you really got to be planning like at least a few steps ahead so that you don't get cornered against the boss and die. And you have to try to lure these things out to kind of follow you in a circular motion. But it is a cool final boss. Quite challenging. Takes a lot of hits from what I remember. You also have your screen clearing type of moves, I believe, which you just saw me use. But I don't know how much of it. I think the only thing that does on the boss is clears out the projectiles, which gives you a little breathing room. But I don't think it actually hurts the boss. But yeah, after doing that for a little while, you will kill the final boss. But yeah, quite a cool game overall. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a good, solid game. One of the better shooters on the NES. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.